a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are the Fox. We are the West.
The Texas Rangers continue to find ways to win, and they take that never-quit spirit on the road to Tampa's Tropicana Field for a weekend series. The Rays have rediscovered their offense, but Jeff Bannister feels pretty good penciling in Cole Hamels' name. The Texas ace looks to notch win number 13 as he leads your Rangers against the Rays. Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is presented by high-speed internet from AT&T. Wow, look at the beautiful weather outdoors tonight. The Rangers and Rays, first of three from Tropicana Field here in St. Petersburg, Florida. We're indoors. That's right, the roof. Here at Tropicana, we welcome you into the booth. Hi, folks, I'm Dave Remmett with Steve Busby as we get ready for the opener in this three-game series. Rangers coming off a very productive homestand, 1-5 of 8. These Rays, they've won 4 straight, just swept the Padres out of this building. But for the Rangers, they're going with the Rays tonight, Cole Hamels.
That they are, Dave. And Rangers trying to get him back in the win column. It's been 3 straight now that Cole has not gotten a W, but he has had quality starts in the last 4, so go figure. He has been throwing the ball well. Cole Hamels, he is the ace for a reason, and that's because of consistency. He takes that great stuff out there and uses it very well each time out. And now with Matthew LaCroix behind there, with Jonathan LaCroix behind the plate, even more consistency can be had. And Hamels looks to start it tonight against these Tampa Bay Rays. Since the All-Star break, Cole Hamels has gone 3-2, but an ERA below 2 at 196. Opponents hitting just 248 against him, only 12 walks and 40 strikeouts, but the Rangers have not scored for him. And on this road trip, Rangers looking to turn that around and get Cole some runs to work with.
So we'll see what kind of offense they're able to produce for him tonight. We do know this. He's going to keep him in the game one way or the other. Stay with us when we return. We're going to talk with Carlos Beltran. He's standing by with John Radigan. Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today during the Ford Freedom Sales event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T High-Speed Internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. By Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Just about set to go tonight. Rangers and Rays opening game of this 3-game series. And we check in for the first time tonight with John Radigan.
Yeah, Dave, thanks much. 122 down, 40 to go for the Rangers. Only the Phillies have played even as many games as the Rangers have at 122. They've played more than every other team in Major League Baseball, but that means they've got some off days coming up. And for a team that was so active at the trade deadline, these off days can be valuable, especially on the road, because everybody gets together and they all get to know each other just a little bit better, don't they, Carlos Beltran?
That's the whole thing, you know. Right now, me being able to join this ball club, you know, I know this guy playing against them for afar, but you know, not personally like you said. So the fact that now I have the time to, you know, maybe go out and go eat with them and, you know, have a good time with them is a good bonding situation.
Yeah. Had a chance to do it yesterday here in St. Petersburg. They'll have a chance to do it again on Monday in Cincinnati when they have their next off day on the road together. It's almost time for baseball here on Fox Sports Southwest. We've got the Rangers and the Rays, game 1 of 3 from Tropicana Field here in St. Petersburg. We're back with the starting lineups and first pitch right after this.
In a 3-game series, the Rangers on the road here in Tampa Bay. Let's take a look at our Southwest Airlines starting lineups. Rangers at 72 and 50, and Jeff Bannister starts it off with left fielder Jurickson Profar. Ian Desmond in center field bats second. Then it's Carlos Beltran and Adrian Beltre in the middle of the order, along with Rougned Odor at second base batting fifth. Jonathan Lucroy does the catching, bats sixth. And then the bottom third of the order is first baseman Mitch Moreland, Nomar Mazara in right, and Elvis Andrus, the shortstop, batting ninth tonight for Jeff Bannister.
And that's the Rangers lineup. They'll be facing the 26, soon-to-be 27-year-old right-hander, Matt Andriese. And Andriese back in the starting rotation after Matt Moore was dealt to the Giants. Andriese back in there after a leave of absence for about 2 months as a reliever. Fastball, cutter, changeup, a fairly simple repertoire, and he throws a lot of strikes. But lately, a lot of them have been going the other way. He has had trouble keeping the ball in the ballpark. 4 home runs in his last couple of outings. So that has not been good. But he doesn't walk people. He comes right after hitters. And he feels that once he gets himself back in the routine of starting every 5th day, that everything else will work itself out.
Of course, young starting pitching. That has been the story in Tampa Bay all these many years. Take a look at the defense behind him. Hey, a familiar face forming the battery with Andres. Bobby Wilson back behind the plate. It's Evan Longoria and Matt Duffy on the left side of the infield. Tim Beckham and Brad Miller at first forming the right side. Montouk, Kiermaier, and Sousa in the outfield going left to right for the Rays. The Rays, by the way, 50-69. 19 games under 500, 18 games out in the East Division, trailing the Toronto Blue Jays. All set to go. Opener of this series, and Andres yanks one way in on Profar. Jurickson back in the leadoff spot against the right-hander Andres. Profar's .322 on base average, the key number, and a high strike evens it up at 1-1. Profar, the average at .262, but he's working on an 0 for 18. Maybe the look from the top of the order will get him some more fastballs, some better pitches to hit, and maybe help him climb out of the hole. 1-2 the count. Andres going from the stretch exclusively tonight. And for him, that has nothing to do with Profar at the plate. It's an anticipation of concerns that they have, and he in particular has, with base runners. Amateur golfers, we talk about it being the yips, but he has a little bit of trouble once he gets runners on base. It's 2-2, and he gets Profar for the first out of the evening.
Well, Andres, well above average stuff. As we mentioned, a fairly simple repertoire. A lot of 4-seam fastballs, which you saw right there. He'll throw a cut fastball, which will move in on the left-handers, and a straight changeup. Occasionally, a 2-seam fastball, which will move down and away to a right-hander or left-hander. But that's just coming right at Jurickson Profar, and you got a guy that's 0 for 18 and struggling no matter who's throwing right now.
Now, ball 1 to Ian Desmond. Average at .292, batting second tonight. Desmond with 16 hits in the month of August. And pops this one over on the right side, playable for Miller, and there are 2 gone. So the strikeout of Profar. Desmond aggressive up there against Andres. And now the veteran Carlos Beltran. Andres, as you mentioned, Buzz, the home runs lately been a real problem for him. Been in and out of the rotation and the bullpen a little bit, depending on the makeup of this squad. And so he's a guy, young guy, just sort of trying to find a rhythm. Trying to imagine, that's tough enough on a daily basis if you're playing every day. When your roles change, I think it's a little more difficult. As a little roller for Beltran, handled by Andres, and he completes a 1-2-3 top of the first inning. So he's sharp to start it, and now Cole Hamels will come out for the Rangers. Hamels out for his first inning of work against these Tampa Bay Rays. Take a look at their lineup. Mikey Montouk leading it off in left field. Kevin Kiermaier in center. Then Evan Longoria, per usual, at third and batting third. Brad Miller, the first baseman, to clean up. Then it's Duffy, Morrison, and Beckham, Souza, and Bobby Wilson rounding it out for the Rays. Hamels all set. The lefty's first pitch right in there, strike one.
Well, first time Cole Hamels has ventured into this ballpark to pitch since 2008, the World Series that he started off against the Rays. The 25th start for Cole Hamels. That is tied now with Martin Perez for the most starts on the Ranger ball club. Cole with that 12-4 mark, the 2.88 ERA. That is good for fourth in the American League.
He's coming right after Montouk here. Very rapid tempo. He's jumped ahead 1-2. You see, the numbers are not very good for Montouk, who has suffered through a handful of injuries this year, up and down between here in Tampa Bay and their AAA club in Durham. The count stays 1-2.
Yeah, you will see Cole Hamels and Jonathan Lucroy very aggressive against this ball club until you get down to Longoria, and then you probably won't be as aggressive because he's the one guy in the lineup that can do some damage to you. But they're going to stay right on top of these other guys.
2-2. Montouk on an 0 for 17. Look at the veteran left-hander Cole Hamels, 32 years old. And he gets Montouk to hit this one in the air, but to shallow left center. Coming over from left is Profar, one away. Take a look at the rest of the Rangers defense tonight, delivered to you by Break Check. Profar with the play in left, Ian Desmond in center, Nomar Mazara, the man in right field tonight. Beltre and Elvis Andrus on the left side, Odor and Mitch Moreland on the right, and Jonathan Lucroy does the catching. One out, and now Kevin Kiermaier. Kiermaier in the two-hole for Kevin Cash's Rays and rolls it down to first. Moreland right there, two gone. A ground ball for Hamels, and that has been a real story for Cole this year. Bumping up close to 50%. His ground ball percentage, one of the better years in his long career in terms of getting guys to hit it down in the dirt. And here's the guy, Evan Longoria, dangerous right-handed hitter. Longoria pacing right now for a career high in home runs. Should he continue going at this clip, he'll fall just short of 40 home runs this year. This one on the ground, left side. Beltre there to gobble it up. His throw, though, pulls Moreland off the bag. So a rare error on Adrian Beltre. And the Rays have the first base runner tonight.
Now that's Adrian's second the last several days, and this one he just didn't get his feet set. He was trying to, and see where he was there with that left foot, his lead foot, kind of open to first base. Normally, Adrian, when he has time like that, will set his feet so that they're lined up perfectly straight toward first base, toward his target. Wasn't able to do it that time. I think he had a little more time than he believed he did, but in any event, he hurried the throw and threw it wide.
That gets Brad Miller to the plate. Miller's been a very dangerous hitter. Take another look.
Another look. Now Adrian will get that left foot coming around in front, but see, it's open. He's pointed almost towards second base with his feet, and he likes to get those feet lined up so that he has a good base to throw on to first base over.
It almost looked like he realized that very thing at the last second to try to turn that left foot in a little bit to compensate, but it just didn't quite get the job done.
Even the best get off balance sometimes.
Here's a 2-0. And a strike to Brad Miller. Boy, this guy has been swinging the hot bat for the Rays. Those home run numbers, best in his career. He's been moved from shortstop over to first base. And he wasn't happy about it. I mean, he was vocal about it.
Yeah.
And seems to have taken that frustration and channeled it to his offensive side and has really produced big time power lately. Skipper Kevin Cash, his second year at the helm here in Tampa Bay. Full count now on Miller.
You know, Miller on pace to not only hit a lot of home runs, he's on pace to double his career total in 1 year. He's on pace for about 35 home runs, and that is more than what he has, 29, in his previous tenure in the big leagues.
Runner going, the 3-2 pitch outside, and Miller draws a 2-out walk. So an error and a walk, and the Rays have a little something going here in the first inning.
Well, not what Cole wanted, although once you get behind a guy as hot as Brad Miller, Cole Hamels, even though he's a left-handed hitter against Hamels, Cole's going to be a little careful. There's no sense in the middle of this lineup when they're not, he and Longoria are not surrounded by guys that are going to do a lot of damage. You don't want them to hurt you early in the game or with the game on the line later.
No, instead, he'll go after Matt Duffy here. Duffy, the Rays acquisition at the trade deadline, got him from the San Francisco Giants, sending left-handed starter Matt Moore out to the Bay Area. That is the other Bay Area, the other side of the country. And they got this prospect, Matt Duffy, who, as you can see, is on a bit of a hitting streak, but he's also been fighting some soreness in his left Achilles. It's ahead 2-0 though in this at bat. Had him out for a little stretch recently. In a game for the Rays, he scored twice from first base, and the next day, boy, he was a little sore again in that left Achilles. And that's an injury you can't monkey around with. Hits this ball hard down the right field line. If it stays fair, it's trouble, but that one just does miss foul.
Boy, that was fair for a long time going down that line. Duffy, the way he took out of the box and rounded first, he thought that was going to be fair. Must have just tailed off at the very last minute. Ends up about 1.5 feet outside the chalk. Fortunately for the Rangers, Duffy had that line zeroed in.
So Longoria back to second, Miller back to first with 2 out. And the count 2-1 on Duffy. Well, Hamels has been dodging a lot of bullets lately. Go back to his last start against the Tigers. We have 14 hits in 7 innings. He has been dealing with a lot of base runners lately. It's 2-1. He's gone 3 balls to Duffy. Now there's his line from Saturday in that 2-0 loss to the Tigers. 14 hits, but only allowed 2 runs.
Yeah, 17 base runners with the 3 walks.
Well, tapper towards short. Andrews charges, throws, and gets Duffy for the final out of the inning. No runs, no hits, an error, and a walk. The Rays lead 2. Scoreless on to the second. Fireworks show on Friday, August 26th, presented by Takis. Head out to the ballpark to see the Cleveland Indians and your Texas Rangers. And stick around, enjoy post-game fireworks show set to John Williams' iconic score from Star Wars. Get your tickets, TexasRangers.com, or by calling 972-RANGERS. Well, a scoreless first for both teams. It will be Beltre, Odor, and Lucroy in this second inning. And a bouncer right through a wide open right side of the infield. Beltre is on with a leadoff single in the second. I'm talking about nobody home. Left him some real estate and he took advantage.
Well, Adrian, it cost him a bat, but he'll sacrifice a bat for a base hit most of the time. He can make plenty more bats, but base hits, he come in bunches for him. They come in a lot of bunches for Adrian, but you know that's one of the problems with the shift. Adrian does pull the ball a lot, but if you're going to pitch him outside, I don't think you can shift him around that much.
Here's Rougned Odor. 277 average for Roogie. 22 home runs. He lays off a high fastball. Odor, very much a free swinger. It's rare that you see that fastball sneak by for a strike. He's batting over 300 his last 27 games. Today, 5th in the order for Jeff Bannister. And Andres pins it on the outside corner. He's ahead 0-2.
Yeah, Dave, early in the count, Odor is more likely to take a fastball or anything up high. As a matter of fact, you get later in the count, you get him in swing mode, and all bets are off. And he'll go up the ladder with the best of them.
Be interesting to see what Andres tries to do with him here at 0-2. He's shown him 2 fastballs. Mentioned earlier that Andres has a little trouble with base runners, and that's why he goes from the stretch at all times. It doesn't always have to be much of a lead over at first. He'll throw over.
He has trouble throwing the ball over there first.
He's admitted to getting a little anxious about base runners. 0-2. And Odor bounces it weakly second base. Beltre trying to draw a tag, extend the rally on the base paths, and ends up getting into second safely. Great job just to stop there and force Beckham to make the throw, but he forced Beckham to pause for a moment, and that's what earned him second base.
Well, Beckham's got to either come in and make the tag or make Beltre go back to first, not just stop. Beckham kind of got caught in between there. You're better off going ahead and flipping the ball once you see the runner stop there, and you're not going to be able to get to him. Take the out at second. Get that. Make sure that double play is still in order, so that the first out is taken at second base, not on to first.
All right, that's an unusual decision there by Beckham. So now man in scoring position for Lucroy. We'll see if that one ends up hurting the Rays. Strike 1 to Lucroy as we take a look at our Coors Light Cold Hard Fat. Brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Career high 20 homers this year, 7 since joining the Rangers. And that, when you look at contextually, last year, now he was hurt a lot last year. 7 with the Brewers last season. Count now 1-1. You're talking 7 home runs while with the Rangers. That's since August 4th. And only Blackman, the Colorado Rockies, has more over that stretch. 2-1 the count. Rockies center fielder Charlie Blackmon with 9 home runs since August 4th. Brad Miller, the first baseman tonight for the Rays, also with 7 long balls in this same period of time. But bottom line is this: Lucroy, since joining the Rangers, has had a real power surge. See if we get something good here. 2-1 from Andres. Chase one upstairs. 2-2. An amazing pickup for this Rangers club at the deadline. Lucroy and Jeremy Jeffress. Jeffress, who has been a big member of the bullpen since coming aboard as well. Two and two to Lucroy, and he'll stay alive.
And I would think Ranger fans still marveling at how John Daniels and his group able to pry away Lucroy and Jeffress without giving up Profar or Gallo or any of the top prospects. You know, they still have those guys in the fold, and well, what a great job that was.
One out, a man at second, the 2-2. And Lucroy doing a good battle with Andres. Hey, there's Bobby Wilson, the former Ranger. He was a waiver claim by the Rays on August 4th. Joined them on August 4th. He knows these hitters. That is, perhaps with the exception of Lucroy, who's at the plate right now, the man who basically forced his ouster. Beltre with a base hit. He's at second. And it's a full count now on Lucroy. Lucroy, 7 homers, 14 RBIs, and a .273 average since changing leagues. Of course, the Brewers had him traded several days earlier to the Cleveland Indians, but with his no trade clause, Lucroy blocked that deal, opening up the opportunity for the Rangers to snatch him up. Payoff pitch.
I think he'd like to have a mulligan on that one. That right in the heart of things, right in his powerhouse. Backing out, tightening up those straps a little bit, choking off his hands. Right in the middle for Lucroy. That cutter that didn't cut.
Let's see what Andres tries this time. Andres, 6 wins, 4 losses this year. Payoff pitch, and he rushes one past Lucroy. His second strikeout tonight.
I think Jonathan, after fouling that last one off, might have been looking something off speed a little bit, but he got the good fastball from Andres up and away. Questionable spot, but you know, 3-2 in the count. You're not gonna take a chance on that being called ball 4.
Now with 2 gone, it'll be up to Mitch Moreland. Moreland at .252 for the year, but with 20 home runs. Andres starts him off with a breaking ball.
Yeah, and that pitch is not the strong suit for Matt Andres, and that might play into the hands of Mitch Moreland. Mitch had been swinging the bat pretty well, not as well the last couple of days as he was earlier in this streak, but this is the kind of guy that he might be able to hit pretty hard most times at bat.
Soft again in the count 0-2. Well, Moreland has reached base safely in 9 of the last 11 games. .355 over his last 21 games. He's got a man at second, 2 out. Take him upstairs. Did he go? Yes, according to plate umpire Chad Whitson. So a strikeout ends it. Rangers leave a man in scoring position. No score after 1.5. On Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today during the Ford Freedom Sales event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. We'll look at the Sunshine Skyway between St. Petersburg, our location, and Bradenton. Cole Hamels comes right in after Logan Morrison with strike one. Morrison, the designated hitter tonight. Average at .230 with 10 home runs. Hamels, he's been ready to go tonight. Bouncer first base side. Moreland is there, and he'll go to the bag for out number one. And Hamels not messing around. He's got the ball, and he's ready to go.
Yeah, he's an up-tempo pitcher, and especially when he's throwing the ball well. And as we mentioned, 4 consecutive quality starts, despite not getting a win. But he has been on a pretty good roll.
Especially on the road. All year, he has pitched very well on the road. 8 wins, 2 losses. And the best road earned run average in the American League at 197. He fires in strike one to Tim Beckham. Well, speaking of road numbers for Hamels, our Kubota Power stats. Look at that. Best in baseball. And even better recently. 171 ERA his last 4 road starts. Well, I had a Beckham 0-2. Tim Beckham hitting just .211 this year with 5 home runs. Look out, a little tight. Beckham in a slide like a number of these Rays hitters. Just a 136 average in his last 14 games.
And that pattern, fastball off the plate inside, then the breaking ball. He's been seeing a lot of that lately. And that's the bane of existence of a lot of hitters. Tim Beckham, no exception right now.
First strikeout of the night for Hamels. Lucroy had to pick it out of the dirt and complete the put out at first, but 2 away.
Now you got that high fastball, and all of a sudden, I got to speed the bat up a little bit. And pitchers like Hamels, working with catchers like Lucroy, come back with that curveball, and you end up looking kind of funky.
So 2 quick outs, and it brings up the 8th place hitter, Steven Souza Jr. That one misses just at the top of the zone for ball 1 to Souza, who has had an up and down season with the Rays. Souza last year was one of the was the top prospect, at least according to Baseball America and the Rays organization, and a guy who has at times flashed those tools that get people really excited. He just hadn't been able to really to put it together on a day-by-day basis in the big leagues.
You know, when you end up striking out 34-35% of the time, it's going to be a little tough to use those tools to anybody's advantage. And that's the big thing for Souza. Just not making consistent contact. Yeah, he's a well-built guy. He runs well. He throws well. Good outfielder, and has power when he makes contact. But those last 6 games, that's in miniature his year. 6 strikeouts, 1 for 20.
And he takes strike 3, looking back-to-back punch outs for Cole Hamels in his perfect second. We go to the 3rd, no score tonight. innings tonight. First of 3 between the Rangers and the Rays here in St. Petersburg. You see Nomar Mazara, Elvis Andrus, and then Jurickson Profar against Matt Andriese. Andriese going with a breaking ball to Mazara. Mazara, 282 average this year, 13 home runs. Comes right back with a fastball, 1-1 the count. Now Mazara in the last 15 games hitting .302. Well, he has had a couple of opportunities this summer where he has had to make adjustments, and he's been able to. The ball's behind 1-2 now to Andriese. So some changes defensively. Nick Franklin has come in to play left field for Tampa Bay. 1-2 on Mazara, and Mikey Montuk moves over to center field. So Kiermaier out of the game. Right-hander Andriese to the plate, 1-2. Mazara fights him off again. So Kiermaier crossing first base. I didn't see anything real obvious, but not moving. Apparently not moving right. And it's now 2-2 on Mazara. That was back in the first inning. Kiermaier grounded out. Done early tonight. Good overall numbers this season for the rookie Mazara. Hard bouncer first, takes a easy bounce from Miller, and he's able to retire Mazara for the first out of the inning. And that'll get Elvis Andrus to the plate. Well, Star Wars weekend is returning to the ballpark. First 15,000 fans to the game on Saturday, August 27th. We'll get that Elvis Landrus Calrissian Star Wars bobblehead, courtesy of Takis. You don't have to smug your way across the galaxy in order to pick up one of the coolest bobbleheads of the year. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com. Elvis, 293 average. He's had a great second half. Andrus with 3 hits back at home on Wednesday in that finale against the Oakland A's. Bouncer right side. Beckham right there on top of it. 2 gone. Gives us a chance to check in with Dana Larson on a Chevy game break. Goodness, thank you, Dana. You know those two teams are going to score some runs, especially in that ballpark.
Yep, that they are.
Profar struck out in the first, 0 for 1, as Andriese gets a second look at this Rangers lineup. But this ball hit sharply up the middle, a base hit for Profar. And Profar will scamper to second, and this throw well behind him is a little hustle by Jurickson, gets in that extra base.
No, Profar snapping at 0 for 19 that he had been in with that base hit to right center. And you're right, Dave, coming out of the box with 2 outs, he thought about this thing getting to the point where he could try for 2. Splits Matuk and Sousa, so Profar able to turn on the jets and make it in safely. Good heads-up base running with 2 outs.
Yeah, there was a big gap out there in right center field, and that maybe with Kiermaier in there it would have resulted in a double anyway. But it no doubt for Rays fans immediately conjures why Kiermaier is such a valuable player for them in center field. that sort of thing rarely does happen with him anchoring that outfield defense. Profar at second, and Desmond takes strike one.
Well, that's part of the problem. I don't think Kiermaier would have made a difference. He's not that fast, but I mean, he's fast, but nobody's fast enough to cut that off. When you shift around the other way like that, you leave the second base hole open, and a hard ground ball that gets through where normally it would not if you're not in a shift, all of a sudden turns into a double. And that goes right back to what in the world are you shifting for with this guy up there?
1 strike pitch. 1-1 on Desmond, who popped up in the first. Well, both Rangers hits tonight have been advantageous ones that way. The right side of the infield was wide open for Beltre when he slipped one through for a base hit. And now Profar finds all that real estate in right for a double. 1-1. That went off Bobby Wilson's face mask. We'll get a moment as plate umpire Chad Whitson will buy him some time cleaning off home plate.
Now, fortunately, it got him off to the side just a little bit. That wasn't a full frontal assault, but it was pretty close. It'll ring your bell a little bit.
So to count 1-2 on Desmond. Andres trying to work around another runner in scoring position, and he does so. Strikes out Desmond to in the third. We've played 2.5 innings tonight. Still no score.
What is the family trip for your Texas Rangers? Several of the coaches and some players' wives made the trip to beautiful St. Petersburg. For Ian Desmond, it really is a family trip. He's from nearby Sarasota.
It's good to get home and see some familiar faces. Got to see my mom and my mother-in-law and father-in-law yesterday. Obviously, my wife and kids. But you know, just get back to the house and get that little bit of normalcy, which is nice. We don't often get that in the middle of the season, so it's a blessing to be able to get down here. And yesterday I drove my oldest son to school, and got to meet the teacher and all that stuff that I think most people take for granted. But it was a special day for me.
No doubt that most people take that for granted, but that's something that dads who play baseball for a living often miss. And Ian Desmond in a good place during this series because he got to be a part of at least that with his son yesterday, guys.
Yeah, thanks, John. That is terrific. So we get going here in the third inning. So an off day yesterday, the team enjoying a day completely void of any baseball activity. Many going to the beach to relax. It's Bobby Wilson leading it off for the Rays, and he strikes out swinging to start things in the bottom of the third.
No, Bobby, very familiar with Cole Hamels. He worked as his battery mate a few times. Never had to worry about trying to hit that. All he was thinking about was, how do I catch that and throw it down to third after the strikeout? Now he's on the other end of it.
So first head-to-head goes in favor of Cole Hamels, and now back to the top of the order. Monta takes a strike from Hamels. Hamels got him to fly out in the first inning. Monta last year up and down 6 different times with the Rays, so just shuttled back and forth between Durham, and gets a lot of his time against left-handed pitchers. His splits have always, sometimes the case, right-handed hitters, oftentimes the case, favors that matchup, but his dramatically so in there tonight against Hamels. Left-handers 1-2. And a bouncer left side of the infield. Long throw for Andrus, and it's there in time. 2 gone.
Elvis had a little tricky hop there right at the end. He stayed with it nicely, and he was set up in first position to field it and throw. That last hop was something he wasn't quite expecting.
We have the dirt infield here at the Trop, with the turf on the infield and outfield. I guess the dirt base paths. Strike delivered by Hamels, and I guess that would give it a more realistic feel, more I guess normalized feel. 1-1 the count to Franklin.
Well, there's one thing about having dirt and turf together. You get different hops when it comes off turf onto dirt than you do off of natural grass onto dirt, even the infield. Spin is different, and it's just a completely different reaction to the ball to the surface.
Long run that time for Mazzara, who manages to corral it before dropping it, but it completes a 1-2-3 inning and no score after 3 tonight. Now let's go to Aaron Hardigan in our Rooms to Go lounge. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by the all-new 3-row Mazda CX-9, meticulously crafted for driving because driving matters. Yeah, the beach scene here in the Bay Area. We get going in the fourth. No score as Beltran stands in. Takes ball 2. Beltran rolled out along the first baseline. A ball fielded by Andres coming off the hill. 0 for 1 tonight. Switch hitter at the left side, and the righty Andres pumps in strike 1. Beltran very productive homestand, that 8-game homestand in which the Rangers won 5 of 8 back at Globe Life. Beltran hit .310, a homer, double, and his production sometimes almost missed, lost in the shuffle with everything that Jonathan Lucroy's been doing.
Well, it's been so consistent, whether it's been in New York for Carlos Beltran or with the Rangers. I mean, he's the same hitter and the same kind of production, as a matter of fact.
Smashed down to first, gloved by Miller, and it results in the first out of the inning. With 1 out, here comes Adrian Beltre, our TXU Energy power player to watch tonight. Look at these last 10 games. 3 bombs, 12 RBIs, and 6 multi-hit games in there. He's been swinging it. And that off day yesterday didn't slow him down. He had a base hit his first time in tonight, back in the 2nd inning. Adrian batting cleanup tonight for the Rangers. The one thing about the Rangers, and it was a great homestand. They won those 5 games. Boy, so much of the scoring has just sort of been shifted to the end of the game. Not been many big innings early for this Rangers team lately. They save it for the dramatic finishes. And that again seems to be the case tonight. One from Andres, finds the inside corner. One out, nobody on here with the 4th. With 19 long balls for the season. Mentioned a little jag that he's on lately, but the power's still there for him. 37 years old. Signed the extension earlier this season for 2 more years. And it's funny, every time a new team rolls into town or we head out of town, broadcasters always ask, is he really that much fun?
Yeah.
Oh, he's so fun to watch from a distance. And he shoots this one over first, base hit into right field. Well, Beltre with another multi-hit game, his 7th, now in the last 11 games. 2 for 2 tonight.
This pitch, most mortals can't reach this ball, much less get a base hit from it. Just think, that's about 6 inches outside and low, and Beltre going the other way, at least his posterior was, just reach out and flip it into the outfield. When you can do that, you can hit. I don't care what league you're in. That is something.
That's enough to smile about. So he's aboard now for Rougned Odor, 0 for 1. And again, Andres, we'll see how he reacts with a base runner. He used a line a couple weeks ago, Andres, about base runners, saying that there's just a voice in his head that tells him to throw over to first. Sometimes when it's an unnecessary throw.
You ought to find that voice that says don't throw. That's the one you're looking for.
Odor rips it, but foul. It's 1-1. Of course, you start having too many conversations with that voice, and you have other problems.
As long as you get the right answers, you're okay. At least that's what I thought. That's what my voice has told me.
It's tough. You know, there are a lot of players over the years, whether they be pitchers or other sports. Basketball, you see guys at the free throw line. We talked about the yips in golf.
Yep.
Something rattling around in that dome. Sometimes it's hard to get it out.
Well, and Andres, the genesis of his move to the stretch all the time was from mechanics. He was having trouble going from the windup to the stretch back to the windup. So to simplify his mechanics, he's not the only one that's done this. Yu Darvish, when he first came over, abandoned the windup altogether to simplify his mechanics. And a lot of guys, I think, can identify with that. Your mechanics inherently are much more simple from the stretch. There's not all the extra movement leading up to your balance point. So Andrews just working out of the bullpen, decided, okay, that's what I'm going to do, and it's worked for him. And as a result, since he went to the bullpen and now has come back into the rotation, he's walking fewer guys. He's throwing more quality strikes, but he says his stuff is more consistent from one side of the plate to the other.
Odor pops this one back of second. Shortstop Duffy calls for it, and there are 2 away. A Christian music artist for King and Country will be performing a post-game concert Sunday, August 28th, presented by Buckner International. Come watch the Cleveland Indians take on your Texas Rangers in a 2:05 game, then enjoy the concert afterward. If you'd like to buy tickets for the game or to get your field passes for the concert, go to texasrangers.com/concerts. So a 2 out now. It'll be up to Lucroy, who struck out in the second. Rangers have had base runners in every inning but the first. But Andriese has been able to work around it. And Andrews' first offering, and Lucroy pops this one up. Not appear to be playable, and it is not. Souvenir behind the Rays dugout. We did get word on Kevin Kiermaier, the Rays center fielder who had to lead the game after pulling up in the first inning, running down to first base. He left with hip tightness on his left side of his hip. No doubt be more information forthcoming after the game, and then tomorrow. Strike pitch from Andriese, popped up again, and this one should be playable. Bobby Wilson waiting for it to come down. It does, and the inning is over. Rangers leave another runner, and we go to the bottom of the 4th tonight. Still no score. By T-Mobile, Jason Worth of the Nationals extends that on-base streak to 46 games last night. Now that ties the franchise record, which goes back to the Expos franchise, 1969-70. Rusty Staub was the last to do that. Longest streak, of course, since Votto last year went 48. And the Cleveland Indians, they have been on a tear since the beginning of June. 6-game lead now in the Central Division, and great matchup tonight as they go against the AL East leading Blue Jays. And Indians hosting that series this weekend in Cleveland. Blue Jays with a 2-0 lead, top of the 5th in that one. Well, no offense in this game as we begin playing the bottom of the 4th. 1-1 to Evan Longoria.
Well, you talk about Cleveland, David. The Indians are coming in that next homestand for the Rangers when they come back off this trip. That is going to be a huge 4-game series with Cleveland. And then Seattle comes in right after. And we'll remind folks, a lot of good seats left for the Seattle series.
This ball hit well deep to right field, but Mazzara able to track it down at the wall, and there is one away. Hamels sneaks past Longoria there.
Yeah.
But that was...
Well, that's one of those ones. You can see why in this ballpark in particular, Longoria is so deadly, because it's not very deep. To where he hit the ball, it's about 368 feet to the fence. And he has power that way. I mean, that's in most ballparks, that's on the warning track someplace, not up against the padding. But here, Longoria, this ballpark is really tailored to him, and his power plays anywhere in this park.
So a long but harmless out. And now Brad Miller, who walked in the first inning. Hamels falls behind 2-0, and you can hear him, his frustration after letting go of that pitch. 2-0 the count.
Yeah, you got to be careful. This is kind of like Cleveland used to be back in the days of Municipal Stadium. You got to be careful what you scream out there with so few people. It reverberates. And, you know, pitchers tend to get a little angry at times with themselves and scream some things that, with a lot of people in the stands, you never hear it. But got to be careful when the seats are vacant.
And it's a quiet one tonight. 2-1 from Hamels. That's ball 3. Well, my first ever encounter with Doug Brocail, he was on a minor league rehab assignment, and he was pitching in Oklahoma City. When you're in the minor leagues as an announcer, that's heady stuff, man. A big leaguer's coming to town.
Sure.
And boy, we were all excited. Old Broke threw 2 pitches, yelled something, you know, at the umpire that everyone could hear in Oklahoma City. And listeners to the radio, I think their ears turned red, they blushed. He was gone immediately, and that was one of those great lessons in placement of the crowd mic.
Yeah.
Like he was holding it.
You didn't need a translator either.
No, you did not. You did not. You needed a 10-second delay.
Filter.
Pay off to Brad Miller, and gets him swinging. The strikeout of the second out in this 4th inning. And for Hamels, number 4 tonight.
That's the pitch that Cole has really been featuring to great effect the last several starts. That changeup, and on 3-2, Miller's dead set on fastball, and hasn't looked like just a fastball coming out of Cole's hand and doesn't get there. And that's a helpless feeling for a hitter. Great feeling for a pitcher, though.
Hamels in a little bit of a groove now as he gets a breaking ball in there for a strike to Duffy. He has retired 9 straight. Began with Duffy grounding out in the 1st inning. Bouncer this time third base side, foul ball. Count 0-2 on Duffy. Mentioned earlier that Hamels has been getting a lot of ground balls this year. One of the higher percentages in his career. He's also been getting a lot of swings and misses. 4 strikeouts tonight as you look at his pitch count by inning, and he had to work a little bit there in the 1st. But there were 11 pitches in that 1st inning that followed the error with 2 outs.
Yep.
So that too could very well have been a very efficient inning for him. And he fires one just below the zone here, 1-2 the count. He's getting swings and misses though on almost 28% of his pitches. That's 4th highest rate in the American League. Had a Duffy 1-2. And this one shot down the right side, but slices foul. Again, Duffy did that back in the 1st. Sent that one down about a foot and a half foul with 2 men on. It looked like it might have scored the first run of the game, but instead was a long strike.
And then the next pitch, Cole Hamels jammed him and got a little roller out to Elvis to end the inning. See if he follows the same pattern. Threw that cutter last time right in on his fist.
So as a pitcher, would you do that, or would you also think, am I being too predictable if I do that?
No. If he hasn't hit it, I'm going to do it.
Do it again. Here's the 1-2. Just missed.
Now you hear a lot of pitchers, well, I couldn't throw him that because he had to be looking for it. Well, had he hit it yet? No. But he had to be looking for it. So what?
2-2. And tied him up. Another strikeout, 5th of the night for Cole Hamels. And another perfect inning for him. We go to the 5th no score in St. Pete.
Florida, whenever I make the trip here, I have an absolute go-to place for food, and that would be Ted Peters' famous smoked fish house. This place is fantastic. They've been doing it there since 1951. It's just a little roadside diner where most people eat outside and they smoke the fish inside. They actually have a separate smoking house for the fish so that the customers don't have to endure the smoke. And the smokehouse is separate. It sets aside just a little bit off on the property there. Actually, above those chimneys, it looks like fluffy clouds, but it's smoke from the fish that's being smoked inside that smokehouse for 4 to 6 hours. They got 4 different kinds of fish, and there's Mitch Moreland going deep and gone. Guys, back up to you. We'll get back to the fish.
Or maybe a dead fish fastball that Moreland shoots the other way, and his 21st home run of the year gives the Rangers the lead. 1-0 in the 5th.
Now, Mitch on one of those rolls where you stay in one spot with him, and that's what Andriese did the first time. Threw him some off-speed pitches and stayed away, and Mitch tuned into that and took it the other way with authority. Home run number 21. Target set down there, down and away. And that backdoor cut fastball, Mitch intercepted before it got to the back door.
So a lead for the Rangers, and now Mazzara fights one off foul.
Yeah, in this ballpark, where Mitch hit this ball out, it's only about 350 feet, 345 to 50 feet. And with Mitch's kind of power, he's going to, if he played in this ballpark, he'd hit probably 10 home runs like that a year.
That gives him 50 RBIs as well, as Mazzara pops this one near third. Longoria to foul ground. And that is out number 1. It's Go back to John Radigan.
Yeah, so we got to at least pay off the fish that they smoke for 4 to 6 hours. They lay it raw. There's 4 different kinds of fish. Look at that. In just rack after rack after rack of smokers, they lay the fish on there raw, and then they deliver it to your table. And I wish it was smell-o-vision so that you could smell the smokiness. They use a Florida native tree, red oak, and that potato salad that comes with the lunch platter, that's hot. It's German potato salad with bacon in it. Those tartar sauces are full of horseradish. I'm telling you, this is the go-to place in St. Petersburg. Ted Peters' famous smoked fish, guys.
John, that sounds like a real fish story to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm telling you, God's honest truth right there. But it was this big. I swear, it was this big.
John, do they comp you when you go there?
No, they ought to. All the publicity I'm giving them.
Anderson a hole 0-2. Hey, by the way, the Rays, it's left fielder night is Corey Dickerson becomes the 3rd left fielder of the game. Mata, Franklin, now Dickerson. Now stays 0-2 on Andrews.
Left field's a black hole out here at the Trop.
Yeah.
Keep throwing them out there. They keep dropping like flies, don't they?
Where are they going? There was a stretch. They went about 2 weeks in an earlier stretch this year where their top 4 outfielders were down. Their closer and setup man were down. That coincided with that stretch where they went 3-24.
Yeah, you can understand that.
Yeah.
First 9 guys that show up get to play.
Ball at 2 strikes to Andrews, who grounded out in the 3rd. I'm leaving it up here. So the Rangers take the lead. Moreland with his 21st home run to open the 5th. Goes back to what you said earlier, Buzz. Andres, and he has thrown well tonight. But the recent problem for him has been keeping the ball in the yard.
Yep. It's his 5th home run in his last 3 starts now, I think.
Now it's 2-2. Elvis making him work. Andres is 26 years old. Good sized right-hander at 6'3", 215. From Redlands, California. He went to Redlands East Valley High School. And that high school's turned out a couple of good ball players. Tyler Chatwood, Tommy Hanson. Andres played there with his brother David, who also spent a couple of years in the Pirate system as a first baseman. And the 2 of them went on to play together at UC Riverside. He was a 3rd round selection by the Padres initially, and he jumped ahead of Andrews, but loses him with ball 4. First walk he has issued tonight. So the Rangers with another base runner now as they turn the lineup over to the top. You see Jim Hickey on the right of your screen there, pitching coach here in Tampa, and leaning on the rail. Kevin Cash, their skipper, his 2nd year. Youngest manager right now in Major League Baseball. Hickey had that look, though, as if he might be beginning to consider what the next moves and options may be.
Anytime you walk the number 9 hitter, and I don't care what team you're playing against, it's not a good sign. And even though Elvis is, batting 290 plus, he's still the number 9 here. You hate to put that guy on with a free pass to turn the lineup over, and now you have to face the top of the order. I think that'll drive a pitching coach as nuts as anything.
Toss to check in on Andrews, who, by the way, is 9th in the league with 16 steals. Yeah, Hickey looking at that card closely.
Just make sure he didn't make a mistake. That was the 9th hitter, right? Yeah, it was.
He was ahead of him 1-2.
Yeah.
And still lost him. Profar, meanwhile, he broke that 0 for 19 skid in the 3rd inning with a double out to the gap in right field. To the walk to Andrews. Misses wildly out of the zone there to Profar.
And Andriese is going to have to do something to keep Elvis close. Elvis standing over there reading Andriese in the first couple of pitches that he saw from first base. It takes a long time to unload the ball to home plate, and that really doesn't give Bobby Wilson much of an opportunity if Elvis is able to read the move correctly.
1-0. He goes with the breaking ball, but it's 2 balls, no strikes on Profar. There you see the stolen base numbers. Elvis got off to a tough start. Remember, that was his one complaint after the first month of the year. So I got to get better on the base paths, and he has. Infielder double play depth, and Andriese can't be too careful right now with Andrews. Very favorable spot here for Profar. Two and one. Profar just 23 years old. Amazing it. The conversation that has surrounded his name for what feels like forever. And he is still just 23 years old, but back and healthy. Maybe it's been the most exciting part this year. Runner going, and he fouls it back. It's 2-2. Andrews had a pretty good jump.
Yep, sure did. He had second stolen, maybe standing up. Elvis reading him, saw how long it took Andriese to get rid of the ball to home plate. And not much he can do unless he alters his mechanics to incorporate a slide step or speed up his hands a bit. Bobby Wilson's not going to have a chance to throw Elvis out.
So 2 balls, 2 strikes now on Profar. And this ball hit well out to right field. Souza toward the line. And that is out number 2. Not going to carry. Got in a little bit there on Profar.
Yeah, just enough down toward the trademark. Jurickson had it coming off the bat the right trajectory, but not enough steam behind it. Andriese able to get that, looked like the cut fastball, getting in on Profar. It just dives in at the last second. Jurickson getting that down just above the trademark.
So 2 away now, and it'll be up to Desmond. Andriese pins one on the outside corner for a strike. I was mentioning earlier, 16 hits in the month of August for Desmond. But remarkably, all 16 are singles. Last extra base hit came on the 29th of July, a double against the Royals. Now, he's managed to get plenty of production out of those 16 singles. He has driven in some key runs, especially lately. And in a hole here, 0-2. And has hit safely in 4 straight, 8 of his last 9. The inning started with a home run by Moreland. Andrews with a great at bat, worked a walk, and now with 2 gone, the 0-2 to Ian Desmond. Bouncer up the middle, and that one's through, base hit. Good start for Andrews. He'll head to third, and the Rangers have him cornered in the 5th inning. And now Andrews coming to the plate. The throw is late. And Elvis able to get in under the tag. It's 2-0 Rangers.
That is just flat stealing a run. Elvis going around third. And I'm not sure if Spike sent him or if Elvis had a pretty good idea. But that ball was lobbed in by Matuk, the center fielder. Just flipped it in to the infield. Needed a parachute on that thing to come down. And by the time it got down to Tim Beckham, the second baseman, he had to hurry his throw. Now watch this. Elvis sees what's going on. He keeps on going. That ball's lobbed in. And Elvis, that was on his own. He got to third base, keeping an eye on that thing. He got to third base and thought he had a pretty good chance. And the Rangers needed an injection of some excitement. Well, there it is. Great heads-up base running play.
That is just unbelievable. Is he pitched to Beltran, blooped out into left field. Dickerson coming on. He'll make the catch, but not before the Rangers get a second run out of the inning, thanks to some heads-up base running by Elvis Andrus. Moreland started it with a homer, and we're halfway to the house. Rangers leading 2-0. But that hardly tells the story of that top of the 5th inning. The homer by Moreland, and then Elvis Andrus talking about that last play.
Talking to Drew Stubbs on the bench, and Elvis said, hey, I saw him lob the ball in, and I just kept going. That's smart baseball. It doesn't get any smarter than that. Mikey Matuk hopefully will learn from that. I'm sure that Kevin Cash and company pointed it out to him, but Elvis picking his pocket clean, got the Rangers an extra run, got Ian Desmond an RBI.
Now as we begin playing the bottom of the 5th inning, Logan Morrison falls behind 0-2. But we've seen Elvis Andrus do that type of thing on a number of occasions this year. There was that pop-up off the bat of Prince Fielder.
Yeah.
This is early in the year, back in maybe May or June. Count stays 0-2, and it was just a routine pop-up out to shallow left. Elvis was at third base, clearly not going to score on a sac fly, and everyone knew that, including the left fielder, who lobbed it back in toward the middle of the diamond, and Elvis took off.
Yep.
He is sneaky. 0-2. Morrison just stays alive.
When you go back over Elvis's career, we've seen him have aggressive base running plays, and he's gotten chastised for that sometimes, but because of the timing of them. And other times we've seen him score from second on an infield grounder, and we've seen him score from second on an infield hit. You know, at time and in big times during a ball game, he is not afraid to test out the base paths, and more often than not, he's going to make a great play on it.
This has been such a fun year to watch him. You know, after the way last year ended in the postseason, and we went to Toronto, and he addressed the media that day, and his comments were so telling about his personality and his mental makeup. What he learned from that last year as a person, beyond what he learned as a baseball player, but what he learned about himself as a person from that very difficult end to last season. And I'll tell you what, he has been so consistent from day one this year. Productive offensively, great defensively.
And right now he's wearing out Jim Wolf, the second base umpire. He has not stopped talking since he's been out there. Well, when Elvis gets excited, he talks. And when Elvis gets down, he talks. And when look at Jim Wolf said, Are you ever going to be quiet? He's hoping for a shift. Get this guy out of here.
Oh, man.
No, that's great. That's great stuff. He has every reason to be excited, too.
Another strikeout for Cole Hamels. That's 3 in a row as he punches out Logan Morrison to start the 5th. 2-0 Rangers lead. We check in with Dana Larson on a Chevy game break. All right, thanks, Dana. 2-0 here. Tim Beckham shows bunt, pops it up, and Hamels will allow Beltre to take it.
Oh. I had visions of 2 trains colliding. Beltre charging hard. Cole Hamels got a great jump off the mound. He was charging hard. And if there are 2 people on the field, well, if you want to include LaCroix, you can put 3 on there, that you don't want to collide, these 2. Watch this. Scared me to death. I can just see Cole charging at that and not hearing Adrian call the ball. Oh, thank goodness.
Well, heads up play to get out of the way at the last minute. That's 12 in a row now retired by Hamels. And Souza waves at a breaking ball, strike 1. Souza struck out looking in the 2nd. Only base runners for the Rays tonight. Longoria got on via the error in the 1st. And then Hamels walked the next hitter, Brad Miller. That's it. Yeah, count 0-2 on Souza.
Cole put the clamps down, and yeah, a lot of these hitters in this lineup are not swinging the bat well, even though they've had a 4-game winning streak. They're not really having great years offensively. And Cole taking advantage of it. He is using the aggressiveness of some of these guys against them. He's using it against guys that aren't swinging the bat particularly well, jumping ahead, not giving them a chance to come up for air.
Souza, a guy who strikes out a lot. The 1-2. There's 127 strikeouts this year. That's 8th most in the American League. And that has been the story of his young career, whether it be in the big leagues or the minor leagues. Hamels looking for his 7th strikeout of the night, and he gets it. Souza down looking for the 2nd time tonight, and Cole Hamels with a perfect 5th. We'll go to the 6th inning. Rangers leading 2-0. Adrian Beltre to lead things off for the Rangers. Sonic Slam inning brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot, $1,200 in dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a homer this inning, David Ellis of Irving, Texas wins $1,200. But if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, well, then David wins $25,000. You could register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, Adrian Beltre will lead it off for the Rangers. Beltre, Odor, and Lucroy. 2-0 Texas leading. Andriese out for a 6th inning. And he hasn't gone as far as 6 innings since May 30th when he went 7 at Kansas City. He spent some of that time in the bullpen. That's part of the reason why, but not a guy accustomed to going real deep in games, at least this year for Tampa Bay. It's 2-0. And he finds a strike zone.
Kevin Cash trying to get him stretched out a little bit. He's going to have to take the place of Matt Moore, who was traded to the Giants at the trading deadline, and they want Andriese to get back in there and stretch himself back out so he's back up to 105 pitches.
3-1 now to Beltre, who has a couple of hits and 2 tries. He's pitched well tonight.
Yeah, no, he's thrown the ball well. And unfortunately, the only way you can get stretched out is to go through some periods where you take your lumps as you get up 60, 70, 80 pitches successive times out.
Favorable count here, the 3-1, and Beltre takes a big swing, hits it deep center field. Mahuk is back, and it's gone. Just over the wall in straightaway center field. Second homer of the night for the Rangers. They lead 3-0. Adrian Beltre's 20th of the year. Rangers a little breathing room in the 6th inning.
How about our Sonic Slam winner inning?
David Ellis just won $1,200.
Well, Adrian, number 20 this year, and he didn't miss much of that. Ball notoriously doesn't carry well in this ballpark to straightaway center in the evening, but that would carry just far enough out over the 404 sign.
Big bender to Odor.
Pretty good extension for Adrian Beltre. Watch when this bat hits the ball where his hands are. Way out in front of him. The head of that bat really flying through the hitting zone. And then you hear the noise it made. Did I ever tell you I hate that noise? Yeah, that one. Can't stand that noise.
I feel like the boys in the truck have a little fun with you sometimes with that.
Now I'm going to hear that noise at night along with the ghost at the hotel.
Bouncer down to first. Miller takes it to the bag himself to take care of Odor. 1 away. Now Banny feeling good about things right now, leading 3-0. Jonathan Lucroy heading to the plate. Some activity for the Rays as Garten loosening up. Pitch count for Andriese approaching 90 for the night. Lucroy struck out his first time up, popped up the next time in, and he takes strike 1. Well, just 39 games remain in the regular season scheduled for the Rangers after tonight. Lucroy bounces this one up the middle. Range by Duffy to get back to it, but can't grab it cleanly, and Lucroy is on. Now, even had Duffy been able to get that ball cleanly, no real guarantee that he has a play on Lucroy anyway.
No, he's 15 feet out in the turf in center field, not the grass, the turf in center field by the time he's able to corral that thing and stop. Duffy's got a fairly strong arm, but Jonathan Lucroy can at least amble down to first and beat that one.
Now he's aboard for Moreland, who started the scoring tonight with a home run last inning. Moreland's 21st of the year. There's a shift on Moreland, but not a dramatic one. Duffy still on the appropriate side of second base. He makes his move.
Yeah, after they got the first strike on that, and Longoria told Duffy to move on the other side, and I guess there has to be a reason behind it, the way they wouldn't do it. I'm not sure I know what that reason is, though.
Oh, now the count 0-2 on Moreland. See if it affects anything. It does not. They stay in that dramatic shift.
If I were a hitter and I saw that happen, I would immediately think that they're not going to throw me a fastball away. So I would rule that out totally. So now I've got part of the plate. I don't have to worry about any particular pitch out there. And it just, see, that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if you want to shade a guy one way or the other, yeah, that's okay. But you know, you're eliminating something that a pitcher can use from his repertoire and expect success.
Yeah, I've always felt like the shift definitely communicates to the hitter what your plan is. I mean, you're putting your cards out there in a pretty obvious way. 1-2 to Moreland.
And that was a fastball that was not going to be in the strike zone anyway, by design. The changeup was away to him, the pitch before. They're not going to throw him a fastball that's hittable, at least intentionally hittable outside. Mostly breaking balls, mostly hard stuff in if they do come to the hard stuff.
Set up in. And this one is fought off to the left side, but foul. Right. I mean, he could conceivably get a fastball on the outside part of the plate to hit, but it wouldn't be by design.
Right.
If it's by design, then somebody's lost their sanity, and there'll be a long conversation, you would imagine, the next day, because this doesn't make a lick of sense.
Well, there are some teams that shift without regard to who's on the mound and what their abilities are. There are some people that just say, look, the numbers say he hits the ball there, so we're going to shift that way, which to me makes no sense whatsoever.
Of course, this week has been the quarterly owners meeting, Major League Baseball owners gathering in Houston this week, and a lot of talk. Rob Manfred floating out there among a number of different potential rule changes, the idea of eliminating or or outlawing the shift. Yeah. I can't imagine it, but 2-2. When nowhere near the plate. Next thing you know, you're going to want to eliminate pitchers throwing sliders. Slows the game down because guys don't hit it well enough. And a note from Rich Rice, our PR guru on this trip, that Adrian Beltre now with 12 seasons of 20 or more home runs. That puts him tied for third on the all-time list for a third baseman. Only Eddie Matthews and Mike Schmidt have more than Adrian Beltre. Eddie Matthews had 14 seasons with 20 or more, and Mike Schmidt had 13. Pretty stout company. Yeah, those are good names. Adrian still with time to spare, runner going, but that's ball 4. Moreland will head down to first, and a couple of base runners on here in this 6th inning. Fox Sports Southwest at 105.3 The Fan present $10 tickets in the Lexus Club Terrace and upper level seating sections for August 29th through the 31st. Pack the park and wear your red as the Rangers battle the Seattle Mariners to defend first place in the American League West. Let's show them there in Texas. Tickets available at TexasRangers.com using online coupon code REDOUT. That's going to be a huge series. The Mariners coming to town at the end of the month. So Andriese is done. He'll leave a couple of men out there. Rangers leading 3-0. New pitcher coming on. We're back in a moment. 3-0 Rangers, and the rookie Ryan Garten has come on in relief.
Garten, a local product, born and raised in the Clearwater area. 23rd game of the year, 1-0 with an ERA just over 4.65. Garten, last couple of times out, has been scoreless in these relief appearances.
And he'll contend with Nomar Mazara. 1 out, a couple of runners aboard. And Mazara smashes one by first into right field, a base hit. Lucroy headed to the plate. He'll score. Moreland stops at second. It's 4-0 Rangers. Mazara delivers his 45th RBI, most among American League rookies.
No, another case of a Ranger hitter, expendable bat in hand, gets a base hit with it. This one drives in a run, and taking the cue from Adrian Beltre in the first inning. He'll give up the bat for the base hit and the RBI, and so will the Rangers. They'll buy him some more bats. 4-0, and that's really important to Cole Hamels finally getting some support. That's been lacking for Cole in his last 5 or 6 starts.
Hamels has clamped down on the Rays tonight as Andrews takes ball 1 from Garten. The Rays have had just 2 base runners tonight, one via the error, the other on a walk. Moreland second, Mazara first, and Garten delivers. Check swing roller second base. Beckham on top of it, but nobody home at first, and everybody is safe. So Andrus out of the box quickly. Miller is ranging too far over from first, and it's an infield hit for Elvis.
Elvis is going to have more to talk about on this one. Now, Brad Miller, not normally at first baseman. He had never played first before about 2 weeks ago, and he's getting a baptism by fire over there. Once the first baseman commits to that, there's nobody in the vicinity besides Elvis, and you can't throw it to Elvis. He won't catch it.
So they're loaded up. Profar 1 for 3. Steps in left side. Takes ball 1.
Normally we don't give Sonic Slam innings contestants an extra in the same inning, but once the bases get loaded, that reinstates the idea of 25 grand on the line. So that's a possibility here.
So he's already won 1,200, and he could win another 25,000. 1-1 to Profar.
Timing is everything,
man. If David isn't watching at the moment,
his phone's blowing up.
His phone is blowing up in a big way. That man to a TV. 4-0 Rangers, an opportunity really to kick it wide open right here. 2-1 on Profar. Jurickson had that 0 for 19, but he snapped that with a double in the 3rd and flied out in the 5th inning. Garten, the man on in relief here for Matt Andriese. 26-year-old right-hander. He's 2-1. He's in a whole lot of trouble now.
Pick a pitch in a spot, Jurickson, and then if you see it there, go ahead and wail at it.
He waits on a 3-1. Here it comes. And that's ball 4. So another run is in, and the Rangers lead 5-0. The bases loaded walk to Profar. Credit him with his 18th RBI. And the bases remain loaded as we get closer and closer to the heart of the order. Another confab on the mound.
Jim Hickey out there to see if he can't relocate some of Ryan Garten's pitches more toward the strike zone. That closes the book, by the way, on Matt Andriese. His night is completely finished now. 5 runs, all of them earned on his ledger in 5 1/3 innings. 7 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. So But what started off well for Andres tonight kind of deteriorated quickly for him last couple of innings.
And 2 of the 5 runs charged to his line scored after he left the game. And now Garden trying to clean up his own mess. Desmond 1 for 3. And was taking a healthy rip there. He had a .292 for the year. 20 home runs. And it's 0-2. Mentioned earlier that Desmond has been consistently coming up with base hits, but has not had that extra base groove going lately. Garten to the plate, 0-2, and he misses.
Well, Desmond did have some signs of life show up for him in that last homestand, driving the ball to right field, not just hitting it over there, driving it to right field. And, some big hits. He had 3 RBI in one ball game that won the game for the Rangers.
After a pitch in the dirt here, 1-2 the count.
And you know, once he starts doing that, once he starts driving the ball the other way, then everything else is going to fall into place. Pretty good job of spoiling a very good pitch by Garden. But Desmond for a while there was not hitting the ball hard the other way, and that was pretty indicative that Ian was having some struggles at the plate. Once he started hitting the ball hard and going the other way, I think everything's going to be okay with it. The doubles will come, the home runs will come. He'll get back into that. There's a process, as they say, to getting back.
And he is, we talked about it a lot this year. He will do and take whatever the opposition gives him, the 1-2, square the count. And I'm sure it's difficult for a lot of hitters up there with the bases loaded not to think about hitting the big one right here. It has been one of Desmond's real strengths. Has been recognizing situations and just simply cashing in what the opposing team offers him. Zara third, Andrews second, Profar at first. He had 1 for 6 with the bases loaded this year, and it's a full count.
Yeah, the last thing a hitter wants to do, Dave, in these situations is get himself out. If the pitcher makes quality pitches and he gets you, okay, you can live with that. But if you go up there and swing at a couple of pitchers' pitches and get yourself out, basically, that's no good. That's what you want to stay away from.
Outfield very deep. 3 runs already across in the inning of the 3-2 pitch. That's strike 3 called, and Desmond flummoxed.
Now Garten getting the benefit of the doubt this pitch on the inside corner. Normally you don't get many pitches on that part of the plate or off that part of the plate because the umpire is sitting there in the inside corner. Very few umpires will give you that pitch consistently that's an inch or 2 inside. But Garten got it, and that's a big second out for him.
Well, his hit effort, and now a breaking ball to Beltran in there for strike 1. About 11 career grand slams for one of the great switch hitters of all time.
11's not a good number. I like 12 better.
It's been fouled away, the count 0-2. No, 12.
12's preferable.
I'm not sure. See if we can get that message down to him real quick. David Ellis probably agrees with you, by the way.
Yeah, probably. Yell boxcars down to him and see if he.
Zara, Andrews, and Profar out there with 2 out. The 0-2 to Beltran. He fights it off. Carlos 0 for 3 tonight. Has been A delightful addition for the Rangers at the trade deadline. He was hitless in Wednesday's finale against the Oakland A's, but had 4 hits Tuesday night. The 0-2, tap it foul. The many things about Carlos Beltran that are still so attractive to teams like the Rangers and many others who were courting the Yankees at the trade deadline has been his record in postseason games, clutch spots, big situations. And he swings over the top of a breaking ball. Strike 3 as Garton works himself out of a pretty nasty jam in the 6th. But the Rangers pick up 3 more. It started with Adrian Beltre going yard to begin the inning. And it's 5-0 Rangers as we go to the bottom of the 6th. The race with a red dot bobblehead. Hamels gets us started in the 6th. Hey, Saturday, September 3rd, first 15,000 fans get their own Nitto Tire red dot bobblehead. Rangers taking on the Astros. Go to TexasRangers.com. Take the red dot home with you. Bobby Wilson opening the bottom of the 6th inning. He struck out in the 3rd. Hamels not yet allowed a hit through 5. With his 1-1 to Wilson. Popped back of third base. Andrus goes out. Coming in from left field is Profar. And he makes the catch for out number 1.
They want to pass along good wishes from folks that are here in the ballpark tonight. Shirley Kostner and husband Cal visiting some friends here in the Tampa St. Pete area. They are in town and wishing the Rangers well. Also from Midland, the Silva family is in town. Randy and Rebecca, Caleb, Kalen, and Kara all on hand tonight to cheer the Rangers on. So far, their cheers are working.
Yes, they are. 5-0 Rangers. We turn the lineup over. Bouncer third base. Beltre from the bag and a dig at first. Beautifully done by Moreland. Wow. Boy, Beltre's keeping him on his toes over there.
Yeah, and you saw the look on Adrian's face. That he was not real pleased with how that throw came off. Mitch, though, as good as there is in baseball right now at picking the ball out of the dirt. Great play by Moore. And that was not an easy short hop. That was an in-between hop that Mitch stayed with very nicely. Adrian, you kind of saw the look on his face that I can't believe he just made a throw like that again tonight.
Elvis, it appears, offering him a lot of encouragement or coaching.
Yeah, he's giving him a lesson on how to throw. I'd like to be a fly on the wall in that conversation.
Well, now here's Dickerson, the third man to occupy this spot in the order for the Rays. And he takes a strike from Cole Hamels. Kevin Kiermaier started the game in center field batting second, but came up with some soreness in his left hip, gave way to Nick Franklin, who's then replaced now by Dickerson. The bouncer through the right side into center field. First base hit of the night for the Rays.
That's too bad, because I thought Cole was on the kind of roll that oftentimes results in something pretty special. Still only one base hit, but the left-hander that you haven't faced tonight, figures you get it in the 6th inning and make a pitch. He was trying to run that ball in and didn't quite get it in. It was down, out over the plate just a little bit enough to allow Dickerson to get the good part of the bat to it. And Cole afterwards, his reaction was, doggone it, or something like that.
First offering now to Longoria in there for his strike. Yeah, something close to that. Odor, of course, he was shaded way over toward first. If he's at his traditional positioning at second, it's right to him. Those shifts, give it and they take away. Fouled back by Longoria. The count 0-2. Well, the key tonight has been containing Longoria. He reached on the error in the first. He hit a ball well to right field in the fourth. Mazzara right up against the padding made the catch in deep right field. So Longoria 0 for 2 in this one. He's the only Ray in the lineup who had ever faced Cole Hamels. Breaking ball, called strike 3. And Hamels gets Longoria looking for the final out of the 6th inning. So he gives up his first hit of the night. The strikeout of Longoria finishes it. We go to the 7th, 5-0 Texas on top. Our Ford game summary. We begin in the 5th. Mitch Moreland leading off the 5th inning with that home run, his 21st of the year, and it was 1-0 Texas later in the inning. Desmond sneaks one through into center. Watch Elvis Andrus rounding second, looking back, and he steals a run as he saw the lob coming back to the center of the diamond. Coolest play of the game. Then Beltre in the 6th. Another leadoff home run made it 3-0 Rangers. They'd add 2 more. 5-0 our score in the 7th. Cole Hamels has allowed just 1 hit tonight. And as Beltre leading off the 7th. And he takes a strike to count. 0-2. So great pitching from Hamels so far. And some Rangers offense relatively early in the game. At least the way things have been going lately. It seems like on that last homestand, boy, they would wait till the 7th, 8th inning to start up the offense. 1-2 to Beltre, who has 3 hits already tonight. Adrian with those 3 hits now, 2,896 in his career. So he continues to march up the all-time leaders charts and home runs, hits, and the like. His next home run will tie him for 45th all-time. There's a swing, and that ball belted left field, and it is gone.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Say hello to Andrew Jones and Juan Gonzalez. Number 434 in Beltre's career. And it's 6-0 Rangers.
And oh, by the way, another 4-hit night. He is something.
Having a night tonight. 2 home runs, 2 singles.
Adrian loves hitting in this ballpark, if you didn't know that already. 3 home run game here in the playoffs in 2011. And he is 2/3 of the way to that here tonight.
Now Odor, and he will hit one high in the air. Deep center field. Playable, however, for Mahook. And there's one away.
Now, kind of like the last one. Watch where he makes contact. Right out in front of home plate. Full extension. Bat hit a little further through the hitting zone. And the result to left field. Adrian didn't know that was gone until he hit it.
Good play by a fan out there, too, making the catch. 1 out now for Jonathan Lucroy. Rangers won the last 4 games of their previous road trip, trying to make it 5 in a row. Good start so far tonight. And they have played well, all things considered, on the road this year. 33-30. Take a look at our Ford leaderboard. The home runs for the month of August, and Lucroy with 7 of them. Here's Brad Miller, and with 8 for Tampa Bay. Slow roller left side of the diamond. Longoria cuts it off, and a good throw gets Lucroy for out number 2. Now here's Moreland, who homered in the 5th. So 3 Rangers long balls tonight. The dazzling pitching so far of Cole Hamels. And a very solid beginning to this series. Matt Andriese 5 1/3 in his start for the Tampa Bay Rays. Turned it over to Ryan Garten. Garten misses outside. It's 2-0 to Mitch Moreland.
Yeah, the guys in the ball club know too, Dave, the opportunity they have on this road trip is against Tampa and against Cincinnati, 2 teams that have not had very good years. As a matter of fact, have been mired in long slumps. Tampa Bay coming out of a bit, but the opportunity to make up some ground, to really put some distance, if you can, as you look at the progressive upcoming schedule, very favorable for the Rangers before they come back home and have a tough homestand. But they're looking to have a very good road trip to start feeling very, very good about themselves and how they're playing the game of baseball. That's not to say they expect to win every ball game. They expect to go out and play well each game. And if they do that, they feel like the wins and losses will take care of themselves.
Well, you look at that schedule and you point out Cleveland for 4. Then Seattle right now, the closest team in the division, 7 back of the Rangers coming into play tonight. Those are huge games right there. Chance to ideally put additional space between the Rangers and their closest competitor in the division.
And again, I'll remind folks, really love to see you come out to the ballpark and wear your red out there if you're so inclined. But let's get some good crowds out there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday against Seattle coming into town.
A great way to wrap up the month of August. Moreland with the walk. Mazzara ahead 1-0. Strike poured in there by Garton.
That starts the last week of August.
Amazing.
That Monday against Seattle, the Monday before Labor Day. The following week is Labor Day.
How's that possible? We were just at spring training.
I know it. I know it.
1-2 on Mazzara.
As they say in the clubhouse, it's time. time to kick it into whatever next gear you have. Last 39 games after tonight.
Yeah. And the toughest stretch coming up, though, after this road trip. And Mazzara strikes out swinging to end the 7th, but the Rangers add another run. Adrian Beltre's huge night continues. A solo shot makes it 6-0 as they stand and stretch in St. Pete. Time for high-speed internet, high-speed replay from AT&T. Cole Hamels, what a night tonight. 7 strikeouts. 3 of them looking. We talked a lot about the swings and misses. But 3 strikeouts looking tonight. The left-hander has been very sharp through 6, allowing just 1 hit and leading 6-0. We'll get Brad Miller, Matt Duffy, and Logan Morrison in the 7th. Miller walked in the 1st, and one of Hamels' many strikeout victims tonight. Miller now a first baseman, and he's been slugging like a first baseman lately. Quieted so far in tonight's game. And a hole here, 1-2. I mentioned earlier, 8 home runs in the month of August. That's most in Major League Baseball. Although a guy who was the regular shortstop in Seattle was traded to Tampa Bay, was the regular shortstop here, and now removed from that spot again as Tampa Bay went out and got Duffy at the Matt Duffy at the trade deadline. So that's 2 organizations now in consecutive years that have bumped him out of that shortstop spot. Little tapper slowly along the first baseline, picked up by Hamels. Tough play at first, and Moreland couldn't hold it. And kind of a slow reaction from plate umpire Chad Whitson and first base umpire Gary Cederstrom as to whether or not that ball was held or lost after the out was made. And here comes Jeff Bannister to ask a little more detail about that.
Well, Cole Hamels was talking to Chad Whitson about runner interference, whether or not Miller was on the inside, the proper part of that running lane. Halfway down there, that running lane has to be observed by the runner. You see, he got back inside, but Cole Hamels asking Whitson about that particular play.
Now you'll see one of the angles there, you can clearly see Miller take a step inside the line, but not enough.
It looked like on that replay that the ball hit Miller before it ever got to Mitch. But it's going to be a base hit, regardless.
And second of the night for the Rays. He is on. And here's Matt Duffy. And Duffy hits one hard but foul down into that Rangers bullpen. Duffy 0 for 2. Grounded out on the first, struck out in the fourth. Of those 86 pitches you can see on the pitch count for Cole Hamels, 20 of them came in the first. And it looked like that inning was done on the 9th pitch. The ground ball to third. Beltre threw wide of the bag, so it cost him 11 extra pitches. This gives you an idea of how efficient and in command he has been tonight. Bouncer third base. Beltre will go to second. One. Odor's turn in time. Double play. 5-4-3. That erases the leadoff single. Now 2 gone for Logan Morrison.
And for Cole Hamels, that is the 15th double play that has been turned behind him this year.
Hey, just saw Colby Lewis there a moment ago. And this was earlier this afternoon. Lewis throwing off the mound as he continues to work his way back to the rotation. Still a little ways away, maybe a couple of weeks. Great to see him out there going from the hill today. Man next to him, Derek Holland, is inching ever closer as well. That'll be a big boost. The Rangers can get those 2 arms back. Logan Morrison is 0 for 2. He jumps ahead 2-0 here against Hamels. Now Morrison, one of those guys. I mean, he came up with a Florida, now Miami Marlins. Showed some good power. He got hurt. And they sort of got hurt with regularity. Then ended up with Seattle and continued to get hurt. But he's a guy who's shown some pretty good power over the years. When you consider that his home games been played down there in Florida in that huge ballpark, Marlins Stadium, and then out at Safeco. A guy whose power numbers you might respect even that much more, given where he has had to play and the relatively few at bats he's been able to log with all the injuries. 2-2 the count. 68 home runs over the last 5 years, and he's averaging 109 games per year in that 5-game stretch. Playing in some pretty big yards. DHing here for the Rays. Has 10 home runs this year and a .230 batting average. Hamels 2-2. Just missed. He's not even yelling so much after pitches that miss. Kind of grumbling to himself, and you can still hear it over the crowd line. God damn. Three-two.
That's that veteran experience. You learn quickly. learn when you can yell and when you can't. Something you pick up over the years.
Well, you know, his last outing, we talked about at the beginning against the Tigers, 14 hits in 7 innings. Now tonight comes back, doesn't give up a hit until the 6th. He's only allowed 2, one of them an infield hit. And misses just high. Ball 4. Puts Morrison on. Second walk of the night allowed by Hamels. Clearly disagrees with Whitson on where he thought that pitch was.
Yeah, strike zone's been a little bit inconsistent tonight. Whitson has not favored any particular place, but you know that's pretty much down the middle of the plate. Not like you're pitching to Ichiro.
So now man on again. And here's Tim Beckham. Hitless in 2 tries. Beckham struck out in the 2nd, popped up in the 5th. Now he was the first overall selection in 2008. And the first such pick out of the state of Georgia since back in 1970. Mike Ivey with the Padres took him first overall. 1-1 on Beckham. Beckham got some pretty good money in 2008, over $6 million to sign as that first pick. Went to Griffin High School. Played basketball and baseball there, along with Bobby Rainey, who was a running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fouls this one off his foot. Count 1-2. Some activity as Tony Barnett begins to loosen up. Rangers leading 6-0. Now Hamels getting closer and closer to that 100 pitch mark for the night. Breaking ball to Beckham, and that is strike 3 called. 4th strikeout looking tonight. 8th overall for Hamels. And we go to the 8th inning with the Rangers leading 6-0.
In Florida, where the Rangers lead by a half dozen and are trying to start this road trip by taking care of business and extending their road winning streak to 5 straight games. They'll play game 2 of this series tomorrow night. It'll be A.J. Griffin on the mound against Jake Odorizzi. A.J., who is very good against the American League East in his career, but admits to me today he's never pitched in this ballpark, so he's no doubt been watching closely what Cole Hamels is doing to try and make sure that he contains the Tampa Bay Rays in this place. AT&T high-speed internet reminds us that tomorrow's game, a little earlier start. We'll have it for you right here on Fox Sports Southwest tomorrow at 4:30 local time.
All right, thanks, John. Indeed, we go to the 8th inning here. Brad Boxberger has come on a relief for the Rays.
Now, Boxberger trying to bounce back after an injury-filled 2016. He was the all-star closer for the Rays last year. This year he's been having one thing after the other, and this is just his 8th appearance since coming back off the disabled list.
Now they're excited to have him back. It certainly changes the dynamic of their bullpen. No longer the closer. He's taken over as a setup man, although tonight not pitching in a role anywhere resembling either of those. As he faces Andrews. Elvis 1 for 2 with a walk and a run scored and shoots it foul. Count stays 0-2. Elvis in that 9th spot in the order. But boy, oh boy, continuing to produce offensively. Not sure where Jeff Bannister has used him. Slow roller third. Longoria, the 2-time Gold Glover, able to take care of Andrews. Or out number 1.
Well, very much like when you're playing against the Rangers, if you want a base hit, you don't hit it to third base. And same thing is true with the Tampa Bay Rays. Longoria, you mentioned 2 Gold Gloves, and leading all third basemen this year in fielding percentage. He is smooth and very agile over there.
Quite a player, offensively and defensively. And this, so far, at least to this point, his best defensive season. And strike 1 forward in there to Jurickson Profar, who's walked in a run today. Bases loaded walk in the 6th inning, also doubled. One and one now to Profar. So the Rays, they have dealt with a lot of injury and have struggled mightily to a 50-69 record. And this was a year where they felt like maybe they had some of the starting pitching to compete a little bit in this division. But the young pitchers did not get off to a good start. And it has been a tough rebound for this club this year. And injuries have bitten them since then. A pop-up by Profar. This one on the left side of the infield. Duffy is there. There are 2 away.
And you mentioned that drastic losing streak they went in, 3-24, and that dropped them. They were 5.5 games back in the East when that started. They ended up after the 3-24, 19.5 games back. So they lost 14 games in the standings during that one streak. That'll ruin your season pretty quickly.
There aren't many teams who ever go through a 3-24 stretch. Those are really tough. You know, talking to some folks around here today, though, Kevin Cash, their manager, I've been pretty impressed with the way he has handled some of the challenges that he's been faced with here. Not an easy stretch these last 2 years. Former catcher, in just his 2nd year as a big league manager. Desmond down on the count 0-2, and Boxberger delivers low. Desmond 1 for 4 tonight. So Ian has now hit safely in 9 of his last 10 games. We'll poke this one down by first, and it gets through Miller and into right field. A base hit for Desmond. His 2nd of the night. I say base hit. I trust that would be scored a base hit.
Yeah, I would think so. Unless you've got a Gold Glover scorekeeping. Well, there's another multi-hit game for Ian Desmond. He's still among the league leaders, despite all the problems that he's had the last 5 weeks or so. Still getting those hits.
And he gets Beltran to the plate. 0 for 4 tonight, and Beltran swings and hits one high in the air. Out there to center field, though, and Mahook with plenty of room makes the play. Inning over. Rangers get another hit, but leave a man. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. 6-0 Texas. Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and a whole lot more. You can watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Go to MLB.tv for details. Hamels out for the 8th. Comes a little bit in on Steven Souza Jr. for ball 1. Souza has struck out twice tonight, both times looking. And he takes a strike here. Hamels with 9 strikeouts through 7 innings. 4 of them have come looking. Souza swings and hammers this ball down the left field line and deep. It is gone. Well, he's got power, and he just showed you some. The Rays get on the board. It's a 6-1 game.
Cole leaving that pitch up and out over the plate, and Souza with his considerable power when he makes solid contact. Hit that bomb way over the lower section of seats out there. Like a changeup, it stayed right in the middle of the plate and was screaming, "Hit me," from the time I left Cole's hand. And Souza obliged.
That was loud. It's now Bobby Wilson fouls off strike 1. So the home run by Souza gets the Rays on the scoreboard today. That has been a real big shift for Cole Hamels this year. That's just the 4th homer he's allowed in now his last 12 starts. He's done a really good job of reining that in. He'd given up 15 home runs in the first 13 starts of the year. So that has been a huge turnaround for him, despite that one leaving the yard. Is 0-2 to Wilson. He went. Indeed, plate umpire Whitson rings him up. Wilson strikes out. 10th punch out tonight for Cole Hamels. Let's check in a Chevy game break. Dana Larson back at the studios. All right, thanks, Dana. Cole Hamels done. 10 strikeouts tonight. But that will be all necessary for him. Tony Barnett coming on for the Rangers. We'll be back in a moment. Talking over his repertoire tonight with you, Darvish and company. Boy, what a great line. 10 punch-outs.
Yep. Yeah, that's the third time this year he's had 10 or more strikeouts in a game. You go back to the game against Kansas City at the end of July when he had 12. That's his season high. Tonight, very, very solid. And explaining that changeup that he threw that Sousa hit. So that just didn't dive. It's supposed to go down, and it never went down. It's kind of floated there. You can see him in the hand gestures. Tony Barnett with his 46th appearance of the year. Tony with a 6-3 record. He has been a workhorse out of that Ranger bullpen. On now to work in the 8th inning.
They'll get the top of the order. Solo home run by Sousa. With 1 out, nobody on base. Mikey Matuk. Couple of ground outs and the fly out to left. And it's 1-1. Barnett with that ERA at 2.09. He's done a great job of handling right-handed hitters. Righty's hitting just .204 against him this year. His first year in the big leagues. Barnett at 32 years old. He is a rookie. Back stateside after really a tremendous learning experience in Japan. Feels like he really figured himself out as a pitcher. He's a closer with great success in Japan. Rangers brought him to camp, and well, he has produced the 2-2. And it just misses. It's a full count on Matuk. Dickerson waiting on deck. Payoff pitch. This one lifted into short right field. Long run. Odor out from second and foul ground, and he can't quite hold it. He got to it. It looked like he might have hit the heel of his glove. He just couldn't quite hold it.
And a long run. That's got to be 35 yards out there that Rugnet covered. Watch how far he has to go. At least 35 yards toward the bullpen. You're right, Dave. Right on the heel of the glove. Tried to balancing act. It popped in and popped out. That would have been a great catch. Great effort just to get there.
I'm gonna give him a chance to catch his breath here. So the count stays full. Barnett will try it again. And he gets a swing and a miss. A strikeout for the second out of the inning.
Now, Tony Barnett able to pinpoint the ball, the breaking ball to Matuk. Going down and away. Excellent execution on that 3-2 pitch. You can see that. Put a bushel basket of balls right there in the outside corner, a low outside corner, and that's what Tony Barnett was trying to fill up in that at bat.
So 2 gone now for Dickerson. Ball 1 to Dickerson, who singled his first time up in the 6th inning. That was the first hit of the night against Hamels. Hamels would end up allowing a total of 3 hits, 1 run in his 7 1/3 tonight. A couple of walks and 10 strikeouts. And this ball off the hands, popped up, shallow left field, Profar with a long run, and he can't get to it. Spins away from him, and Dickerson into second base. A bloop double. I mean, it was a long run.
Yeah, he was clear over in left center field starting it off. And now he saw it all the way.
That probably doesn't help, does it?
At night, it's not bad. This is not nearly as bad as what the Metrodome used to be in Minneapolis, where you couldn't take your eye off the ball once you located it. If you did lose it, you'd never pick it back up. There's no telling where it would go. Here it's not quite as bad.
Doug Brocale takes a moment to talk to Tony Barnett with Evan Longoria, the batter now, and they want to make sure that they get this just right here. They're leading by 5, but you don't want to let these Rays back in it. And this is the guy who can do it. We're getting those scoring updates tonight from Dana Larson. We talked earlier about the big series beginning tonight in Cleveland between the Blue Jays and the Indians. Now the Indians, Jose Ramirez hit a home run to tie it. Tyler Naquin a walk-off inside the park homer to win it. How about that one? Barnett working away from Longoria. So the Cleveland Indians with a dramatic finish, 3-2 win over the Blue Jays. Blue Jays got those 2 runs very early in the game, but just couldn't hold on. Cleveland was working with a 6-game lead in the American League Central coming into tonight. Barnett pins one on the corner to Longoria, 1-1. And of course, that's some drama to the American League East. Baltimore and Boston just a game back of Toronto now. Baltimore, we were talking about that game a little earlier. They're hosting the Astros tonight at Camden Yards. Bouncer up the middle. That one flew into center field. A base hit for Longoria. Dickerson will head to the plate and score. It's a 6-2 ball game. Longoria picking up his 73rd RBI of the year.
Not a bad pitch by Tony Barnett. Got it in on Longoria, but Longoria, since he changed his stance, since he went back to a straightaway stance instead of that wide open stance, pretty good inside, able to get enough wood on that ball to get it up the middle for the base hit. When he was so wide open and then had to close himself up to go back into the ball, it was pretty easy to jam him, and where he couldn't get enough on the ball to get it through the infield. But an RBI single for Longoria, and it's now a 4-run game, and that's going to do it for Tony Barnett.
And Jeff Bannister already signaling to the bullpen. So Barnett faces 3. He'll lead the game, with the Rangers still leading it by 4. We're back with a new pitcher in just a moment. Fox Sports Southwest wants you to show your Maverick pride at a Rangers game. Get discounted tickets for Friday, August 26th. Indians in town. First 1,000 fans with a UTA ticket at the park get a free Rangers cap and Maverick blue and orange. Go to TexasRangers.com/UTA for details. Rangers lead by 4, bottom of the 8th inning. Barnett is out. Jake Diekman is on.
Yeah, the 29-year-old southpaw appearing in his 52nd game, a 2.93 ERA. That's gone up a little bit last 3 or 4 outings. Opponents still hitting a meager 162 against him.
He'll pitch to the lefty Brad Miller. Miller 1 for 2 with a walk tonight. Diekman has only allowed 10 hits to left-handed batters this year. But 4 of those have come in the last 5 games. So that's, go back to the point you were just making. His last couple of games have not been his best. But overall, the number is still outstanding for Diekman this year.
And oddly enough, left-handers are hitting better than right-handers are against him.
Little tapper back toward the mound. And he'll lob it overhand to first, take care of Miller, and that ends the inning. 2-run score for the Rays, however. And we'll go to the 9th inning. Rangers lead by 4. We go to the 9th inning here. Rangers lead by 4, and Danny Farquhar has come on for the 9th.
If you're starting to get the feeling this is Seattle East, you might be right. Danny Farquhar, a Mariner for quite a while. That's where Ranger fans typically remember him from. 17th appearance down here in Tampa, 5.51 ERA, and opposition hitting .304. Farquhar, Franklin, Brad Miller, Logan Morrison, all recently removed Mariners.
That's as far as geography goes, it's about as far as you could go, too.
Yeah, in these United States it is. At least in the American League. You probably go a little further to Miami, but that's about it.
So Beltre with a huge night tonight, 4 for 4 with a couple of homers, and Farquhar gets him to foul this one back. It's 2-1.
More notes from Rich Rice. He was going crazy with the Beltre stuff tonight. He's got a bunch of it. 4th game in Beltre's career with the Rangers to have multiple home runs and 4 or more hits in the same contest. 2nd in a span of less than 4 weeks.
Wow. Also
had one against the Oakland A's at home back in late July.
Farquhar's 2-1, and it's a little bit high. Bobby Wilson holding it a little extra beat there to see if he could get plate umpire Chad Whitson to bite on that one. The 3-1 pitch. It's a full count. Well, another big night for Adrian Beltre, moved up to 45th all time on the career home run list. is next. We'll time with Miguel Cabrera for 44th as he goes down swinging to start the ninth.
Adrian is going to swing at this if he saw it well out of Farquhar's hand. He saw it well. Unfortunately, not even Adrian can get on top of that one. Little too amped up, I think, for that last swing.
So the Rays finally send it back to the dugout, and now here's Rougned Odor. Rookie 0 for 4 so far tonight. Rangers with 2 runs in the 5th, 3 in the 6th, and they added another in the 7th inning. 3 home runs. Beltre with 2 of them, Moreland with 1 of them. This is the opening game in a 3-game series in St. Pete against the Tampa Bay Rays, a 1-1. Farquhar, the 4th pitcher of the night for Tampa Bay. Not a big guy, 5'9", 185 pounds. A 29-year-old from Pembroke Pines here in Florida. 2-1. It's all square on Odor. Fans here, 15,000 plus. Told to make a little noise. And they follow. A lot of Rangers fans, you give them a couple of shout outs earlier, Buzz, but they continue to travel.
Sure do. Travel well.
Farquhar's 2-2. And Odor chases it. Strike 3 is the second out of the inning.
Now, Farquhar always had good stuff, and he gets the cutter going into left-handers. He gets that changeup or turn me over going the other way. And he can be tough. If you expand your strike zone against him, you're not going to have a whole lot of success.
Farquhar now to Lucroy and comes right at his head with a breaking ball. These two were college teammates. They both played together at Louisiana Lafayette. Lucroy was his catcher. 1-0. Little tapper right back to Farquhar, who will underhand it to first and take care of Lucroy to end the 1-2-3 inning. Last of the ninth, the Rangers trying to hold on to a 4-run lead. Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By AT&T high-speed internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. And by your Texas Ford dealer. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today through the Ford Freedom Sales Event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. All right, off to the last of the 9th inning with the Rangers leading by 4. So they travel well, they do. Looks like you might be keeping a book out there too.
That doesn't make him a bookie, does it?
No.
Okay.
Very, very. That's making a book, right? Yeah. There's keeping a book and there's making a book. Matt Duffy, 0 for 3. And the 5th batter in the lineup tonight for the Rays. Then Logan Morrison and Tim Beckham. Diekman jumps ahead 0-2. We're talking about some of the other big games tonight. With the Indians walking that one off today against the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays lead in the American League East is down to a game over both Boston and Baltimore. Well, Red Sox beat the Tigers 10-2, so they can make it a half-game lead. The Orioles, they're hosting the Astros. They have combined for 9 home runs in this game. The Orioles, the first team in Major League history to hit 4 home runs before making an out in the game, according to StatSing. The strikeout of Matt Duffy begins play in the bottom of the 9th. Drew Stubbs, new left fielder.
Now, Diekman mentioned that right-handers hitting not as well as left-handers, and that comeback fastball is why. But Duffy kind of overpowered with that pitch.
Boy, right down the heart of the plate. Just couldn't pick it up, and now Morrison 0 for 2 with a walk. He takes strike 1. It does not look, however, like the Orioles will be able to take advantage of the opportunity tonight. Despite jumping out quickly in that game, they have fallen behind the Astros 15-8. We knew there was going to be some offense in that one, but goodness gracious. No swing. 1-1 on Morrison. Morrison, the .230 average coming in.
We'll use some bullpen reinforcements called up before tomorrow's game for those two teams.
Diekman. It's a big swing and a miss there. 95 miles per hour with that fastball. Dyson just in case. Getting ready out there. Hamels went 7 1/3. Tony Barnett retired 1 hitter. Now a bouncer first base. Moreland right there, and there are 2 gone. And so Diekman 1 out away from finishing this one off.
And there was a time not too long ago when Sam Dyson would have been in to start this 9th inning because of a 4-run lead, and Jeff Bannister was at the point with the bullpen in disarray where the closer was in there. If he had a 4-run lead or less, that was when it was Sam Dyson time. Not so much anymore. They've gotten the tail end of that bullpen, the last 2 innings worth of relievers, in pretty good shape down there now.
Beckham fouls off a good heater from Diekman for strike 1.
And of course, the best way to reduce the load on the bullpen on any particular pitcher in the bullpen is to have your starter go deep in the game, and that's exactly what Cole Hamels did tonight, getting into the 8th inning.
Diekman's 1 strike pitch, and that one right a little bit in for a ball. 1-1. Had me fooled.
No, it's been a strike at times tonight.
Jake from Wymore, Nebraska. Works out in the offseason back home in Lincoln, nearby Lincoln, with Darren Erstad, a former 1-1. trying to get 4 outs to shut down this game and keep it just a 3-pitcher outing for the Rangers. Here's 2-1 to Beckham. Bouncer up the middle, hit sharply. Odor with a good backhand stop, long throw. No chance to get Beckham speeding down the line. Well, that ball was rifled up the middle, and not so sure it didn't take a piece of Jake with him.
It took a chunk out of the mound. I don't think it got any part of Jake. It wasn't off by much, though. The slender left-hander, fortunately, was able to get that right foot back out of the way quickly. It's a good thing that would have taken his ankle into the outfield.
Man,
good play by Rook. Even to get a throw off. Amazing.
A great effort tracking that one down up the middle, but the inning extended for Souza. Souza hit that home run in the 8th inning, his 12th of the year. Big night for that man. Headlining the offensive effort for the Rangers tonight. A 4-for-5 evening. And the Rays are down to their final strike tonight. Tampa Bay in the middle of a 10-game homestand. They just swept the Padres. Enjoyed an off day yesterday, as did the Rangers. Beekman's 0-2, and he got him swinging. Rangers take the opening game of this 3-game series in St. Pete. Adrian Beltre with a couple of homers to key the 6-2 win. So the Rangers have now won 5 straight on the road, dating back to their last road trip to Houston and then Colorado. And tonight, just 3 pitchers needed. Hamels 7 1/3, struck out 10. Beltre, very much a heart and soul of a great offensive effort tonight.
Yeah, good solid ball game tonight, Dave. We were talking about against Tampa, against Cincinnati coming up. Rangers wanted to play solid baseball, and that's exactly what they put on display here tonight. Good pitching by Cole Hamels to start things off, really set the